Hello, everybody. It's Graham Coath. It's midday, and it's Wow Ergonomics, and I'm joined again by Paul Worsley. Hi, Paul.
Hello. How we doing?
Well, I'm all right. You sound a little bit flustered, though, sir, because you've got children at home at the moment.
Yes, and just trying to juggle this 6-week lockdown with online learning, and us still in. Me and the ex-partner still having to work. It's just trying to juggle things and get them in the right order, so everyone can do their own thing.
And this is what real life is all about at the moment. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's, we're back to that point where we were thrust into it before, where, we're all in small spaces. We're all trying to work. We're all trying to get everything done. And then the children are around as well. I've been very fortunate this time around. The first few days I did have the children here, but the younger children have gone back to school because my wife is a critical care worker. The older children are here studying, and they're fine because they've got their laptops, as you saw in the photo the other day that I put up. And for anyone that's listening to this on the podcast, I managed to set the children up in different rooms with various bits of equipment, and I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do that. But for a lot of people, that's really difficult. So, but we will get on and talk about that later. At some point, we may even have a special guest coming on. So, this is to cheer you all up. Now, before we get going,
not Boris Johnson again, is it?
No, it's not Boris. It's time. and I can categorically tell you right now, it's definitely not Donald Trump. Okay. I know it's nothing to do with ergonomics, but I have to just comment what is going on in America at the moment.
It's crazy. I've got two friends that actually live in. One of them actually lives in Washington,
right?
And he put on Facebook last night. I think he's found out that they can actually go across to Canada without any problems. So he was saying to his wife last night, "Let's just pack up. Let's just leave." Because at one point it was ridiculous last night. It was. I think they were trying to invoke. Is it some part that 25 clause 25 in the Constitution to say he's mentally unsound to carry on, and it's crazy because he's still got 2 weeks left, but the way his wording was inciting people and the way that they broke in, past, I thought, well, how would that be if it was like maybe a terrorist attack? You'd have Black Hawk helicopters, they'd have had the place cleared within 10 minutes. But to allow that to continue was sad. It was sad to see.
It's medieval. That's what it is.
It's balmy, absolute madness. Seems to be the world that we're living in at the moment. It's just reacting to every situation. But you think that you've seen everything, and then something like that happens, and it just brings a perspective, I suppose. But I suppose
looking at it from England and being separated off from it, etc. It seems virtually impossible for us. It's almost like this is a dramatized TV piece, but it is fantasy, not reality. But I suppose we don't know what it's like living in America at the moment, and we don't know, what it's been like there in terms of restrictions on people, etc. But I think all around the world, feelings are heightened. That's one of the things that comes out of that.
And I think just even looking at it from another point of view, last night with the footage, with crowds and crowds of people huddled together, no face masks, just wandering around. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. I've just been watching BBC News. I think the Foote George's Hospital in London, where they were saying they are literally at the point now, if anyone comes with a road traffic accident or that needs ICU care, there's no beds. that's it. You know, that they're going to have to make a point, and you know, making that life choice, that life and death decision.
Yeah.
Look, it's heartbreaking to see when, you know, we've all got a collective responsibility, you know, and whether we choose to follow the rules or not. I don't think that's even a point anymore. I think, you know, I still go back to the government's decision to trust the public, which, you know, I agree with, but there comes a certain point where, you know, you let it get out of hand where we are at the moment. Maybe we need to take tougher measures. You know, maybe we need to get more police on the street and actually, you know, start pulling people questioning, where are you going? You know,
yeah.
You know, it's like when it snowed the other weekend. There's a place called Pendle Hill, which is probably about 20 miles away from our house. The amount of people that were posting on Facebook, we're going to find a bit of snow, and they're all up there, and they're all stopping off, and they're all in traffic jams, and then they're all having a play in the snow and then coming back. It's like, what point of don't travel did you not see? You know, I'd love to go out. I'd love to take my daughter out, but you know, for me, I'm taking that responsibility, and it's difficult. You know, it really is difficult living on my own. You know, I can speak with people like yourself, but I miss that human contact. But if we don't start doing what we're told to do, this thing is just going to carry on for months and months and months, and it's not fair.
But there are ways to do it, and that's the thing as well. There are ways to do it in a sensible way. I mean, we went out last weekend and I'm bringing this round to our first conversation today. But we went out last weekend as a family to a National Trust place.
Yep.
And that was totally safe because you had to book your time slot with the National Trust.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Absolutely.
know, you had a certain route that you had to follow. You had to go in a one-way system, you know, but you were out in the great outdoors. It was in the countryside. It was, you know, there was nothing open that would be in a restricted space. It was all gardens and stuff like that. So there are ways you can do it, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's following those rules. You know, you've done it the right way. I mean, even going back to kids football, obviously I run my under-7s team, and you know, when the next lockdown that came in, we were waiting for the FA. You know, and it was heartbreaking having to ring around all the parents and just say, listen, you know, even training that's been suspended now. We've been told that we can't even do one-to-one training with the kids. And it's heartbreaking for them because it was meant to be their first ever game this Saturday. So they were all really, really excited and pumped up for it. And then literally we got hit with the bombshell that they couldn't do. So basically I've been doing some online tricks for them, balancing the ball, keepy uppies. So I've said, right, I've set you all some homework, and then all the parents were sending me videos back the kids were doing either in the garden or the front room.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Which is great, you know. And I've also got like a Zoom call set up so we can sort of all see the team members so they can keep that relationship going. I'm just trying to do just something to try and keep people active. See on your podcast where you're doing the Mousetrapper Get Fit type of thing. It's just trying to do something different to, you know, that'll keep us all safe and healthy.
Exactly. And that was the first point I was coming on to. Let's be really positive about it. So I said, why is it important for us to develop good habits in January? I don't believe necessarily in New Year's resolutions, because I think you know, you should set yourself life challenges, etc., any time of year, and I don't think that should necessarily be New Year's. But I think, you know, there is a thing with the coming of the new year. I think that potentially over this whole lockdown period, the previous lockdown period as well, we got into some bad habits in terms of people sitting around for too long and working in one place. I think it's fundamental that we develop some good habits this January. Yeah, I mean,
I agree. Yeah, just from, you know, I think I was I think I let myself slip, especially during the first lockdown, because it was just alien. It was like, well, what do I do now? And once I'd exhausted the whole of Netflix and Amazon Prime, I thought, what else is there to do? But now, pretty much like you, I go for a walk every morning. So I'm normally up probably between sort of 7, half 7, go for a bit of a walk, and it was freezing cold this morning. I almost slipped over and broke my neck as soon as I walked outside. But it does it. It sets you up. Get back, have a good breakfast. Because I believe that's important, and that's a lot of people I know just don't have breakfast now. Just
yeah. And when we're talking about a good breakfast, right, we're not talking about full English every day, because although that is a great breakfast, right?
Yeah, but maybe
it ain't good.
Maybe once a week, have a full fry up or something. But no, it's just getting that energy into your system. At the beginning of the day, go for a walk, make yourself that hungry. And then it sets you up for the day. But it's that motivation for people need, because it's difficult, especially for people that are on their own like me. There's no one there to motivate you. That has got to come from within. That's an own personal decision. But there's lots of fitness ideas that people can go online and do. So, is that yours or mine?
That's yours, mate. That's yours.
One of my daughter's friends or something trying to get through.
Paul's been rang again. This is one of the challenges. This is one of the challenges of trying to work from home and do team meetings and things like that. Is especially when you've got other people and you don't know what's ringing ever. You don't know whether it's you going off or it's one of the kids.
Honestly, I've no idea.
But I did a couple of days ago as well. I don't know whether you've seen a guy called Paul Can as well on LinkedIn. And if you're not on LinkedIn, just go and Google the guy anyway. But he's this guy that does laughter stuff, and I got up and did the laughter session with him in the morning as well, and I thought that was amazing as well, because again, there is so much sort of bad news and negativity going around at the moment, and sadness in the world. I think it's important that we remember how to do things like laugh as well. So he did a workout session with me in the morning online, where it was actually getting myself to laugh and release some positive endorphins as well. I think, go for a walk, find something that makes you laugh every day. That's important. Don't go to bed having read the news. Don't go to bed having read the news, because that will, that will put you off for life. So I think good habits throughout January, really important, and that applies as well to ergonomic habits as well. I think if people struggled before with the way that they set themselves up prior to work, if you haven't started getting on the mindset yet that you need to actually make sure that you sort it out, because I'm still having conversations with people where they say, oh yeah, I still haven't sorted my workstation out, I still haven't sorted my setup out. What are you playing at? I mean, come on.
And to be honest, Graham, it's not only individuals. I spoke with someone that's in charge of a certain council. It's a large area, and their IT guys work out what the best products are for people working from home. If you can believe that. And it's like, what? It's like, how many months does it take to set someone up correctly at home? I mean, there's only a few key points but it's still this and then it gets to procurement, and then it's all down to cost versus, and it's like, these people are left at home without the correct equipment, and then it's mind-boggling, because this is going to have a knock-on effect in months to come, because people are going to be off because of pain, shoulder pain, because we've allowed it to go go on for probably 9 months.
Well, now listen,
it's
I've got us a special guest this morning, and I'm just bringing her into the stream now, which is absolutely lovely. All right, hello, Chloe.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Chloe always is the most positive person in the world, so I just had to get her on, right? Because to spread a little, yeah, exactly. We need it at the moment. I don't know whether you've been following what we've been saying so far, but we're talking about bad habits coming out of lockdown last time, and people just need to get into good habits this year, if nothing else. We talk about good habits in terms of ergonomics, making sure that you've got your workstation set up properly, etc. We've talked about the fact that every day now I'm going for a walk in the mornings, and I'm showing me progress with that, because I'm preaching to myself as much as to everybody else that I talk to about making sure you get out and move. What can you do to back up this argument for us, Chloe, that we need to get motivated in January?
I think that's the point, though, isn't it? That good habits aren't necessarily those physical things that you do, but they're the emotional, they're the mental things that's as important as anything else. So going for a walk and making sure that you do that's really important, and it does help your mental health. But even just the thoughts that you have and capturing, being conscious of where your mind is taking you as well, I think is a really important habit to try and take forward. So positivity is an amazing thing, and you can use it, and it can be a really powerful tool. If you can see your goal and you can see where you want to be, and you've got that focus and that positive vibe to get you there, then that's amazing. But it's not easy to do that, and it's not easy to realize when you're actually stopping yourself by those negative thoughts and those negative things that are entering in, and putting yourself down and giving yourself stick because maybe you didn't go for that walk, but maybe you just needed an extra 10 minutes in bed, and that's fine. So I think it's more than just the physical things, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, and you were holding out a white feather to everybody this morning, which was lovely, which is that you were saying that, you as a person and you as a company as well, Wonder Films, if you just need to have a coffee or a chat or anything at this time because you're finding it difficult, please just let me know, and we'll do that. It's so important that we actually support each other at a time like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and it can be. I mean, time is the most precious commodity, isn't it? And you know yourself that, especially when you're running a business or when you have a family, which is I hear is quite similar to running a business. But it can be difficult to find time for yourself. Never mind trying to find time for other people. But the difference that can make is huge. Just to have someone to speak to, or to have, even if it's not about the issues that you're facing or that you feel, but even just having someone a break from your internal monologue that can sometimes get you down, it can do wonders. So yeah, absolutely, all of us feel the same. We're here for anyone that needs it, and one day we might need it, and hopefully there'll be people there for us too. So yeah, anything that we can do. And I also happen to love coffee, so any excuse to have coffee is always a bonus as well.
Absolutely. Now, film wise, there are less restrictions than in the first lockdown in terms of filming.
Oh, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Essentially it's work, so we can do things and we can do stuff. Fortunately for us, we're video marketing, so not only do we create this incredible content for people, but we also manage that content and market it for them as well. So yeah, we can still do those things. We can still make all the animations and GIFs and graphics and all of that stuff as well. And we can film safely, but it does come with with restrictions, you know, the amount of people, and then following health and safety guidelines and everything that we have to do there. It doesn't feel like it did the first time. And I've spoke to a few other businesses and people generally, and I think that that seems to be the consensus, that we're just a bit more ready for it. It doesn't feel good that we're here again. That feels a bit pants. But, you know, it's not as unknown as it was back then. The whole world just halted for like 2 months, and that was terrifying. But we've seen a difference this time, that actually people are still moving forward because they know that they have to. So, yeah, we're still flying, we're still going.
That's good. I mean, my son's actually at university studying film, and the first lockdown he had to come home. You know, and that because everything was restricted, but now they are carrying on, which at least means that, you know, he might actually get through this degree, which is, you know, but I really feel for anyone in education at the moment.
Yeah, poor guy. Like, yeah, it's such a practical degree as well. You know, it's so difficult to be able to work on things remotely. Like I mean, it's good that he'd be learning how to adapt, and going forward, you know, these things that they're putting in place, they're going to stay there, aren't they? And they're always going to be there now. So it's good that he's learning that, but it is a shame that he's not able to really get into it and get his hands dirty and look over someone's shoulder as they're doing something. You know, it's super different, I'd say.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's the restriction on travel as well. I mean, before he was flying out to places like Berlin and wherever to you know, get involved in projects, etc. And now it's within a very small space. So, you know, I'm sure there's people at home going, well, I don't feel sorry for him, you know, not being able to fly to Berlin. But I mean, you know, you only get your education once, don't you? And that's the point. I think for a lot of people, they've lost out on certain life experiences, or they will lose out on certain life experiences through this. And I think mentally that's quite tough, you know, because you don't get that time back, and you won't get that experience back. So, you know, I applaud what you were doing this morning, and you know, thanks for coming on. We just want to all make sure, I think, as a family on social media, etc., that we do support each other. And if you do hear of anyone that's just not being as prominent as they usually are, or, you know, not posting as much as they are, just check in on them. That's what I would say. Just make sure that they're okay. And Chloe's up for coffee anytime. You know, as long as it's proper stuff, right? None of this instant.
I can't do instant. We actually got our own coffee blend as well. So we've got our own hashtag Beat the Grind, which is amazing, but it ruined all of the coffee for us. So I can literally just drink this now. But if anyone, we've got a couple of bags. So yeah, we can always send you one in the post, Graham.
Lovely, very very much appreciated. And if you ever need any ergonomic advice over at Wanda, we'd be happy to give you it free of charge. Okay, so that would be good. Yeah, so, you know, if you monitor arms or anything else, let us know. Or chairs, you know, that don't squeak, because that's really important when you're filming.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But no, thank you for that. And 100%, we will be. We should have that coffee, Graham. We should get it in.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for turning up this morning and joining us. Thanks, Chloe. See?
Well, they are full of surprise. Yeah,
I am full of surprises today. So yeah. So let's go on to the next thing that we're discussing today.
Yep.
So are we more prepared? Chloe sort of mentioned it. Are we more prepared for working from home this time round?
I think, I think some of us are. I think what Chloe said before, where people are more prepared, I'm not sure if I agree with that, because this 6 weeks, I wasn't expecting 6 weeks of this tier 5 tear down. That's what I think mentally, that's what set me back. I was expecting maybe a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, but another 6 weeks after already spending so many weeks alone. It's hard. And that's, you know, it probably took me a couple of days just to get my head around it, because I felt so disappointed for my daughter, who's 14, that is desperate to see her friends. You know, she's missed out on so much activity this year. It actually made me feel depressed for her, not for me. It was like, you know, just having phone calls with her, making sure she's got up, she's had some breakfast, she's doing the same things, because, you know, me and her mum was starting to worry, because it's, you know, it's their child. It's like you say, you'll never get this time back. And, you know, if you think back to when me and you were 14, they're probably the best days of our lives, you know, playing out with your friends and stuff like that.
Oh, totally, yeah.
There's none of that anymore, and it's what impact that's going to have on people further down the line. But going back to your question, are people set up? As I said before, speaking to that council, some people are, some people aren't, and a lot of it might be to do with the expense factor. You know, people looking at overpriced or maybe expensive ergonomic equipment. But again, you know, you've come up with some great ideas in the past that, you know, you can, if you speak to the right people, maybe get some kind of free trial equipment. But how are you finding it? Are you finding that people are still saying, well, you know, I'm a bit sore, what can I do to
I think some
help?
people have learned. I think some people picked up and learned and absorb that information first time round, and, you know, but look, we're still doing things like this, right? And the fact that we're still doing things like this and still having these conversations is actually because a lot of people still haven't learned, or the conversation hasn't gone further. And you know, I just think we just need to wake up to the fact that this is always now going to be part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Even if COVID disappears, there will be something else in the future. There will be times when we need to work from home. There will be times when we need to work in different situations, or we don't know what's coming tomorrow. This is what COVID has shown us. We do not know what's coming tomorrow. So if we're going to have to be able to work from wherever at the drop of a hat, it's important for us to make the investment, to spend a little bit more money and get the right setup so that we can actually work effectively.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's lots of things with that, right? You know, I know at the moment that the government are trying to help anyone that's got children that haven't got access to the internet by providing them with
laptops, free broadband,
or whatever. Free broadband. That's great, right? I do worry about some of the criteria by which that's measured, because I know some people with a lot of money that have been getting laptops, and I think, you know, shame on you if that's the case, because actually, you know,
you're always going to get that when you know, when people come out with ideas like this. You're always going to get some people that'll
Oh, I know, but I'm free to say what I like, and no, it's not. Come on, if you've got enough money to buy a laptop, right? You shouldn't be expecting taxpayers, because that's what you are at the end of the day, to be buying those laptops for everybody
else. That's why they've all got lots of money, Graham, because they don't spend anything on themselves. They jump and get free laptops. It's not fair, that.
No, but, you know, there are a load of people out there that haven't. I mean, I watched a news article yesterday where a woman said, look, you know, my son, the only device I've got is a phone. It's broken anyway, and his son's trying to do their work on it, etc. That woman needs a laptop for her son, etc. So you know,
I watched one this morning where a guy actually dropped one round, and the mum base was amazed. She was like, you know, oh my God, we've actually got a laptop. And the little kid, when he ran out, they're the type of people that, you know, that we need to be supporting, because again, it's going to affect their, you know, especially at that age, it could be the difference between getting a certain level job and then another, you know, because if you've got the inability to liaise with your teachers and learn online, it just isn't fair. We're trying to sort of level the playing field up between the haves and the have-nots, but at the moment, the have-nots seems to have been, they're getting treated worse because they haven't got laptops and stuff. So I think it's an amazing idea to see if we can get.
Well, I gave away a headset to a family that have been struggling with their kid learning online.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I gave away a headset to them so that they right. So a bit of a challenge, really, to anybody in the community out there, the business community and the ergonomic community. If you've got, even old stock of something, or you've just updated what you've got to newer stuff. Maybe you've just updated your office chair at home.
Yep.
But you've got an old one that's serviceable or whatever, and you've got an old laptop stand or an old computer or whatever, perhaps see if there's someone that needs it, right?
Absolutely.
And give it away, right?
Or just ring the local school up, because they're children that haven't got them. So maybe ring the school up and just see if there's any way that you can drop it off there, and then they can give it to the children, because they all do know who's lacking on that type of equipment. So that'd be brilliant. Simon says, wasn't there some talk about a laptop that was under £50 so that could be used by schools, some really simplified system? There is the I think it's the Pi laptops or something like that, that can be produced. But look, I think there's a lot of old equipment. A lot of people have got a lot of old equipment out there that's actually quite serviceable. But in terms of other equipment, look, people, it costs very little money to buy this stuff, really, and get yourself set up. So do just spend a little bit of money and get yourself set up, because you're talking about your health and well-being at the end of the day, and your children's health and well-being at that. If you've got kids studying at home, just as an example of this, and he's now been chastised by me, right? But my youngest, who you saw in the post that I set up correctly, decided that on day 2 he was going to work slouched on the couch instead, right? Without anything, and in the evening he was complaining of neckache. Right, and he was sat there with a pillow behind his head, saying, I've got the most awful neckache. And of course, me and his mum both went, well, your dad did tell you, right? That's why you've got all of that equipment. He's now like, okay, I understand now. And maybe part of it's that. Maybe a lot of people out there are still like my son, and actually are just like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't really think that it's necessary. It is necessary. If you do not... Absolutely. You do not work safely with your computer equipment. Okay, well, I know it's not like using a chainsaw or anything like that, where you would follow the safety equipment, but you work at a computer incorrectly for 6 months or so, you can develop some serious conditions. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time, Graham. I mean, it's like people say, yeah, well, I can't afford, a couple of £100 to get a desk and a chair. And then 3 months later, I spoke with someone. I said, how are you doing? She said, I've been going to physio twice a week. And I was like, and how much is it to go to the physio? About £40 a time. And how long have you been going there now? 6 weeks. Right. And you didn't think £200 was worth it. You've spent probably triple the amount of money now on painkillers, physio treatment, all those manner of things. Just take our advice. This is what we do. People will start suffering if well, listen, probably half of them are suffering already, and that's when the challenge is to try and get them back to where they were. But be preventative, not reactive. Do things now to prevent something happening. Would you brush it what do we tell children to do with the teeth when they're little? Twice a day when you've had a meal? Not because it's a chore thing to do. It's because when you get into later life, we don't want you to have no teeth or your teeth fall out. Yes, you might visit the dentist once every 6 months for an actual checkup, but you wouldn't stop brushing your teeth, because we know what the impact is. You can see the impact with neck and shoulder pain. it's hard to pinpoint it, but we do know that it does make a real difference.
I'm glad you brought up the dentist analogy, actually, because my wife's a dental nurse, and I think it's similar. It's a similar thing. It's a similar naivety, actually, because without naming any names, she sees so many patients who go, oh, but I don't understand why my child's got bad teeth, because they don't have any sugar. And she said, well, so, but what are they drinking during the day then? You know, because they don't eat any sugar, they don't have any sweets or anything like that. So what are they drinking then? Well, juice, squash.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Apple juice, orange squash.
Or orange squash. Yeah. And it's like, well, there you go then. And they'll be like, well, what do you mean? It's got it's sugar free. No, it's not sugar free. It's no added sugar, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's still got sugar in it, but it's just not got any added sugar.
I agree. It is that naivety. But that goes again. It's down to educating people. It's keep banging the drum time after time. It's just like football training. You can't pass the ball. Do it over and over and over and over again, and suddenly it clicks, and it's like, actually, this is why I've learned to pass a ball, because guess what? It gives me more opportunity. And it's exactly the same. You get someone set up, and they probably will feel a little bit weird. 2 weeks, it's like, well, I'm not really sure about this, but you need to give your body a time to adjust to the correct way of sitting, rather than being in the wrong setting for probably months and months. But I mean, you'll know that, when you drop new equipment off for people, some people they can't get used to it, but it's at least give it 14 days to make an impact, and then it will get better.
Yeah. But also, it's making sure that you do all of these things in combination as well. It's no good just having the equipment. You have to do some exercise. You have to go out and have a walk. You got
to keep moving. Got to keep moving.
Yeah, there's been some brilliant people actually on LinkedIn, and I'm hoping to get some of them to the next network event. I'm going to get a plug in there for that. The next network event that we're doing, the health and wellbeing one, at the end of January. If you want hints and tips and want to learn more about health and wellbeing and what's the right things to do, come along and join us at that network event at the end of January the 28th, 3 p.m. Okay, you can book your free ticket at www.abetterwayoflife.co.uk. But there's some. I'm trying to get some people along to that are doing some amazing stuff on LinkedIn, like doing stretches every morning. The laughter guy that's doing the sort of laughter yoga. People giving you, exercises, physio exercises to do before you do keyboard work, etc. People don't realise that just in the same way as if you're going to go out and do a run in the morning, or your football boys are going to go and do some training, the first thing you do is a warm up. Yeah,
absolutely. Warm down.
Yeah, if you get straight out of bed in the morning and you're gonna spend up the whole day typing, or the whole day mousing, you're potentially going to get some injury. Right, because you haven't actually stretched any of the tendons or you haven't actually stretched any of your fingers or anything, ready and warmed everything up, ready to go. And these things take minutes, right? But if you want to avoid somewhere down the line some kind of tendonitis or other condition developing, just take a few minutes out, because we have seen, people like Paul and I have seen the impact that happens at the other end when people's careers have been cut short because they've sustained an injury, which means that they now can't work in the same way that they could, and that's I think what we got to say to people. Let's get serious about this in January and let's go forward. We've touched on this. What can we do to ensure our whole family are working safely? I mean, I just think, for a start, I think we need to. All I was going to say, sorry, Paul. I think all that we need to do to begin with is realise that we actually need to, someone needs to take responsibility, or the adults in the house need to take responsibility to ensure that everybody is safely working or studying.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think similar to the post you put out yesterday with your son on there. I think the first one I sent out was at the end of March. I remember it was the first one because I got my daughter set up at the kitchen table. Because I quickly realised, well, hang on a minute, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, everyone's different with the way that they could potentially, you know, even your son after 2 days, oh, my neck's hurting. You know, that's a young child that, you know, that's probably, I mean, they're so elasticated at that age.
Oh, and he
is fit.
He is so fit as well. Yeah.
But exactly, it's happened. So the first thing I made Holly do, and she's still got a dressing gown on, but she, you know, got to set up with a laptop, got to set up with the Alpha keyboard, and it was fine. The posture was fine because the desk was at the right height, the chair was at the right height, and I thought, you know, and she's actually carried on with that, which is great, and she hasn't suffered any kind of pain, which is brilliant. But I'm not sure if everyone's doing that. They might be doing it because they're working, but especially with schools closing now, it's vital that, you know, it's like you was boy, if anyone's got any spare equipment, even like a spare desk, and I know it's going to be difficult, you know, to transport it and things like that, but we do need to try and get the kids used to this, because who knows, you know, I'm not saying at the end of this 6 weeks it's all going to be over. It might not be. You know, I thought before the last lockdown we were pretty much through it, and then this new variant's come in, and the whole thing's shut down yet again. So you can try and be prepared, but I always try and look now for the worst case scenario. What possibly could happen, and am I ready for the next possible lockdown, and is my child ready? So I think as adults we need to take that responsibility, you know, until they're 18 and they can make their own decisions. It's down to us, you know, we're responsible for them, and a part of that is making sure that they're safe and they don't come to any harm while they're at home.
Yeah,
simple as that.
And again, as we were talking about with Chloe earlier, you know, that's taking responsibility for not just their physical well-being, but also their mental well-being, you know, and
absolutely,
you know, I think maybe, you know, stop at lunchtime, even if you're working all day and it's, you know, you're struggling for time or whatever, stop at lunchtime and meet everyone together, anyone else that's in the house, and have lunch together. Absolutely, you know, and just check in on everyone. How was your morning? How's it going? You know, if they're younger, then you've obviously got to do some stuff with them. But when you've got slightly older ones, the great thing is that they can just go away and get on with it. But, you know, if they were at school, a teacher would be checking in on them.
Absolutely, yeah. So I make a point of bringing Holly every morning and every evening, and normally at lunchtime as well, just to check in with her, just you know, are you all right? Have you had any food? You know, what lessons have you done today? Tell me a bit about it. So it breaks it up, but you know, that's important for me, because obviously with the mental health well-being, and it's good for me as well. I'm trying to say I'm doing it for Holly, but it's probably more to do with both of us, because I need interaction. I just need that bit of downtime where I can just talk about anything other than work, just to try and almost reset my brain and then get me going then for the rest of the afternoon. So, you know, I think it's important because, you know, kids do pick up when parents are feeling down, you know, and they do pick up on a lot of signals, even though they probably don't tell you. And it's, you know, that's one thing that I've tried to sort of keep away from Holly, and try that positive outlook. Because it's important, you know, there are kids at the end of the day, and it's you know, it's vital that we're trying to help them out.
I'm just going to let the dog out.
Dogs are in.
I've got to look after his mental well-being.
Oh, well, yeah. Otherwise, there we go.
Yeah, look at that, eh?
Yep.
Looking after the dog's mental well-being as well. That's important. Yeah, make sure he goes for a walk as well during the day. and
absolutely
that's key. Coming on to my last point, which follows on from that, and I think's quite important as well, which is that I've actually encountered over this period, I'd say some bullying, which is quite a strong word, but I think it's important that people learn that they can communicate their well-being needs to their bosses and their other colleagues, and I think it's important that as management, anybody that's listening to this that's a manager, it's important that you just think about how people are working at this time, because one of the things that I've seen, and I'm going to bang on about it because I'm really quite worried about this as a trend, is that some people are just working more hours than they ever did, and without stopping ever throughout the day. And whilst Teams and Zoom and all of these online platforms for communication are fantastic, a little bit like when email first started, right? Where we suddenly, or mobile phones first started, and we suddenly realized we couldn't get away from work, right? Because these things were always switched on. The trouble is, this is even worse. Teams is always switched on. Zoom is always switched on. And I'm seeing some people go from one meeting to a next meeting to a next meeting, and they literally have no time to breathe. And I think it's incredibly dangerous. And I think, as management, people have to take some responsibility for that, and make sure that managers or sub-managers within the process are not saying, right, let's just get the most out of people, and let's just let's get them from one meeting into another meeting because we've got a lot of work to do, and we're busy at the moment, etc. No, give your people time to breathe. And if you're experiencing issues because of the way that you're set up at home, or the amount of work that you're going through, or the lack of time to time to yourself, or time to chill with somebody during the day, I think you need to learn how to communicate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to the in a way, I think lockdown has helped force the issue that people are capable to work from home. So it sort of, we haven't had to put up with this, it's this trust thing versus micromanagement, and, managers walking around and wanting to know what you're doing at every minute of every day, in time and motion studies and return on funds, spend all this kind of nonsense that goes on. I mean, the only time that I was ever told that it's right to performance management is if you're looking to shut the company down, or you're looking to get rid of people. But that seems to have, then people seem to have taken that to another degree. And it's, I know for a fact from a certain company that I worked with, it was like the world had collapsed, because now the manager at that particular company was put in a position where he had to trust people working from home, and he used to send email after email after email, morning, noon and night. What are you doing? Why has this not been done? Why is this not done? And I actually spoke to one of the colleagues that they actually resigned as part of that, because she was so depressed of continually having to answer these emails, fill out a spreadsheet, do this, do that. She said, it's worse than when I was actually in the office, because this guy couldn't let go, because he couldn't see them and he couldn't manage them, because he'd only ever been taught of one way of management, which was micromanage. That's how you get the best from people. And I actually rang him up and I said, listen, unless you start to trust your staff that they're doing the job, you're not going to get anywhere. No one is going to be prepared to work with this. I said, it's embarrassing. You are in a particular field where you're meant to be caring for people and looking after those people's well-being, both mentally and physically. The way you're treating your staff at the moment is disgusting. And I said, I can't even begin to explain that, if you will get more out of them if you give them time off. Actually ring them up and ask, how are you feeling today? If someone said to me, I'm having a really bad day, I'd be even tempted to say, listen, forget whatever you're doing now. Just take yourself out, go and do something, knock off from work and come back fully recharged, rather than saying, well, that's acceptable. You need to do this, this and this. Some companies are amazing, but then some companies, they're living in the dark ages. And, even staff, they think that their only option is to resign rather than go and ask for help. And I think that's unacceptable, and it's sad.
And it's also, the thing that concerns me is that everybody's different. And although, you might have staff that are doing, you think, well, this person, I've employed them for this particular role, etc. It might be certain things about that person that make them very good for that role, but actually, hold them back in other areas.
You need to find out what motivates your staff. That's one of the most important things. As a manager, some people are motivated by money, some are motivated by praise, some are motivated by whatever title you give them. Some, part of being a manager is finding out what that key thing is to motivate someone. It's like in a football team. Again, it's like, well, what motivate? Who do I make as captain? Is that captain going to be someone on the pitch that will carry on and, and make sure and actually talk to people? It's like you say, everyone is completely different, but it's recognizing the signs as a manager of actually, maybe I should offer help rather than wait to be asked. And that's where I think a lot of companies could learn and improve between me and you. But
yeah, no, absolutely. But also, you've got people with autism. You might have people with, other mental health issues, etc. Not everybody is going to react to information that comes through a Zoom meeting in the same way.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to absorb that information in the same way. So, assuming that if you have a Zoom meeting, that it's going to leave everybody clued up by the end of it, it's just ridiculous. It's just
people learn in different ways. Some people love listening to people. Some just it just goes over their head. But you give them something visual. You give them like a PowerPoint to read, and so they can look at it afterwards, and then they can go at their own pace. It's like saying not everyone is the same. Everyone learns in a completely different way. Companies need to take that into account as well, especially when they're doing meetings. Maybe send out brief summary afterwards, then people can take the time and digest and take in that information. But again, it's a brand new thing that we're all learning bit by bit, day by day. I think some companies are going a lot quicker than others, but that's I suppose that's life.
But I also think from a productivity point of view, and at the end of the day, I think productivity is a really strong word, because it means to be really productive. It means that actually someone should be doing something to the best of their ability for you. I just think from a productivity point of view, this idea that you take someone from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting without a cerebral break at all is not productive. Okay.
No, it's not.
Some people may absolutely seem to be shining on that, but for some people that is affecting them from a mental health point of view.
Yeah.
For other people, from a cognitive point of view, it's not working for them. You probably find that for a lot of people at the start of the day, meeting 1, meeting 2 is absolutely fine. They've got the notes down, etc. There's going to be a lot of people who are going, right, I've now got things to get on with after meeting 1 and meeting 2. Meeting 3 comes along, they're now starting to worry about, how am I going to get time to do what these action points in meeting 1 and meeting 2, or I haven't managed to write those down and put them into my planner that helps me organize this work yet. Right.
Yeah.
Just think about the fact that just because you're the person at the top that's controlling all of this and going, right, I feel that I'm getting it all off my chest and out of my domain by giving it to everybody else. It doesn't mean to say you've given everybody a chance by spouting it out to organise it everywhere else, right? So, and certainly from the physical side of things, I mean, it's been disgusting when I've been speaking to some people that, over a 16-hour day have not managed to move from their chair.
See, that's just, but that goes down again to a duty of care by the employer. I mean, I'll be surprised if we're not seeing adverts from medical negligence solicitors on TV at some point next year. Were you forced to work from home during down, and were you provided with the correct equipment? If not, ring this number. That is coming. I've said that from day one. You have got a duty of care. If they can't come into the office because they're forced to work home, you've got a duty of care to make sure that I know there are people that are already suffering from mental health issues, physical health issues, and they've asked their company to supply them with the correct equipment, and it's not being done. If I was a solicitor, and I honestly think with the next sort of like the PPI type thing that will come in and they'll get everyone claiming, that's going to have a huge impact on businesses. So, if there are any business leaders listening to this or managers, sort it now.
Yeah. And I would also say that I think business managers need to start thinking now, and this is if you didn't get it right the first time, get it right this second time. Now we're in lockdown.
Absolutely.
Just think about as well, not the people that you're employing at the moment, but also think about the potential people that you might want to employ going forward, right? Because this is all online, and all those people who are highly skilled that are coming out of university now or getting ready to go into the workplace, they're all watching this, right? And just like Chloe that came on earlier, right? Chloe's just showed herself this morning to be a fantastic boss and a fantastic leader, because she's put it out there that, not only does her business care, as a leader in her business, does she care about the rest of her team, but she also wants to care about the rest of her community, right? Yeah. That shows her to be a business that you'd want to go and work for, right? 100%, yeah. And you'd want to use as a film company if you're another business. She's doing herself a massive favor there. There's some businesses out there at the moment who are failing to do that.
There's some amazing businesses that are failing, but these businesses that are failing, they're going to have to wake up pretty soon, because otherwise, it's like I say, there are some fantastic companies on LinkedIn every day. I just read, time and time again, there's some amazing companies, and it's, we're still living in the dark ages as far as some people are concerned. But it's not all about wage.
It's not all about wage.
No, absolutely not.
I'd absolutely say, having got someone that's, got a son that's of that age, and, in a year or two's time is going to be looking for work, right? They are not completely and utterly concerned about wage now. They want to work for a company where it's the right feel. It's the right.
Yeah, it goes back to trust again. I want to work for a company that actually trusts me, let me get on with my wants me. It's not about the wage. It really isn't. It's about that work and health sort of. It's trying to get the best from someone. But it's not about wage. It's about everything. Your home life, your mental, your physical well-being, all encapsulated into one job.
Yep. There's a really good point to end on, which is if you're, at the point at the moment, and if any recruiters are out there, etc., at the moment, talk to the companies that you're dealing with who are looking to recruit. Make a good ergonomic package part of your recruitment solution, right? because I think for a lot of young people, or a lot of people out there looking to come to work, you know, we know for the foreseeable future, a lot of people are going to be working from home, you know, rather than necessarily add in X amount of money a year, offer them a decent package, a decent chair, a decent desk, you know, a decent set of equipment to work from. That actually will go down the storm with people.
It will,
you know,
100%.
Set them up properly in the first place, and make it part of your package, because you know it's important. So it's just as important as anything else you've got on your package. So there you go. Look, we've solved everything in the world. We've done another hour. So thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for being part of these podcasts over the last few weeks. For anyone that is watching this live, you can watch this again on YouTube, but you can also listen to this as a podcast on Spotify. If you're listening to it as a podcast on Spotify, you already know that because you're already there. But thank you for listening to us. Hope that you've learned something, and stay safe out in the big bad world of working from home. Thank you, everybody.